those who don't give up and they keep pushing forward despite the obstacles. It's those people who will succeed in the end. Welcome to the More Than Just a Type podcast, a place where we explore what it takes to live your best life. I'm your host, Taja Cato, expert in type 1 diabetes and fat loss, entrepreneur, and lover of all things fitness and personal development. Each week, we'll bring you a tangible tool, tip, or insight that'll inspire you and empower you to take action, achieve your goals, and live your best life. Welcome to another episode of the More Than Just a Type podcast. I'm so excited to have you here. Can you believe that we are officially in December? It is so crazy. And I feel like I say this every single month. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it. But honestly, this is the last month we have left of 2020. And I don't know if you follow astrology, but this is a huge month. A lot of energies are happening, a lot of stuff happening. I've just been like geeking out on all the planets and what's going on. There's just some heavy energies and a lot of change. So if you are feeling heavy or feeling any sort of like big energy, you're not alone, because I've been feeling that way myself. And I'm also really excited, you guys. So my Fat Loss for Type 1's program, I don't know if you've heard about it or not, but we launch it one time per year. And I'm really excited because we have decided to launch the program this upcoming January 2021. And honestly, this entire program, like, if your goal is fat loss, this is exactly what I wish I had at the beginning of my fat loss journey, because if you're not familiar with my story, I struggled for so many years. It was painful, like a painful struggle to lose weight with type 1 diabetes. And so I put everything inside this program. I basically created it as something that like I wanted, and it's the exact steps that have helped me and that I even follow to this day when I'm working with clients one-on-one. So I'm really excited because we're giving away the entire program to one lucky winner for free. You get lifetime access to the program, and for the very first 6 weeks of the program, as soon as we start it in January, I'm going to be working with you for 6 weeks. So we're working together, essentially like coaching with each other. So I'm like helping you along the program for 6 weeks. So by the end of the 6 weeks, you're like, I got this. I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm making progress. I feel really good about where I'm going and where I am. And so if you want to enter for your chance to win the program, just go to diabeticfitnessworld.com/win, and the winner will be announced in early January 2021. I'm really excited. Whether you are wanting to lose, well, obviously you have to be wanting to lose fat right now, but if sounds like something that might interest you, definitely check it out and take that chance on yourself, because you literally don't have anything to lose. And I'll also link to this in the show notes as well. Today, we are going to be talking about 3 reasons why you can't lose weight and how to start. So whether you are currently on your own fat loss journey and you're doing all the things, you're putting in the work, but you're like, I'm just not seeing any results, or you have tried to lose weight in the past and it's always been a goal, like you want to lose weight, but it just has never worked for you before, and you're like, I don't know why. I guess I just can't lose weight. This episode is going to be really insightful for you. So we're going to cover 3 really popular reasons why a lot of times it's difficult to lose weight, and then how you can change those and start losing weight wherever you are right now. Before we dive into this episode, I know that you've probably heard this on every single podcast that you listen to, but if you have not yet taken a second to subscribe, please do subscribe to this podcast, because that way you won't miss out on upcoming episodes and bonus content. And if you have not yet taken a second to rate and review this podcast, It really does help this podcast out a lot. I know that you've probably heard that a million times, and maybe it's just like goes in one ear and out the other, because that's what happens to me sometimes. But it honestly does help this podcast out a lot when you do take a second to rate and review the podcast. So if you scroll down on whichever app you're listening to this podcast on, you can just tap the stars to rate the podcast, and then you can click right below that to leave a quick review. Let me know what you enjoy most about listening to this podcast, or what your biggest takeaway is from this episode today. When you take the time to rate and review the podcast, it really does expand the reach. It helps other people be able to find the show and benefit from listening to this content as well. So I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much in advance. And if you already have left a review and taken the time, I know it just takes a couple of seconds, but if you've already done that, thank you. I appreciate you so much. Reason number 1. The first reason that you can't lose weight is that you are not actually in a calorie deficit. So a calorie deficit means that you are burning more calories than you consume. This is how you lose weight. There's no ins, buts. This is just how it is. This is science. You have to be in a calorie deficit in order to lose fat. And common examples of this would be, say you're working out consistently, but you're not being mindful of the amount of calories you're actually consuming. And this can especially happen if you're not weighing your foods, like if you're not using a food scale to weigh the foods that you're eating. And this is because if you're, let's say counting your calories and you're tracking your food, you want to be as accurate as possible with the foods that you are consuming. And oftentimes measurements are very inconsistent in comparison to weight. So a food scale can be very, very helpful if your goal is weight loss. Or let's say you think that just because you got in a really solid workout, it means that you can eat the entire pizza, or essentially that calories don't really matter for the rest of the day. So calories still matter whether or not you worked out or not. Another example is because maybe you are eating healthy and you think that you should be losing weight because you're eating healthy, but eating healthy isn't going to necessarily matter for fat loss, because what really matters is how many calories you're actually consuming. So let's just say, for example, you go to a restaurant and you order a huge salad, and the salad comes with all these toppings like let's say the whole works: eggs, chicken, dressing, avocado, like all the things. Maybe it has some nuts and seeds in there, and it's just this huge salad that probably looks healthier than maybe eating a burger. But in reality, that burger has less calories than the salad that has all the things plus the dressing. Another big one is not tracking the foods that you consume when you have low blood sugar. So if you've ever wondered, do these calories really count for my low blood sugar, for this one glucose tablet that I'm eating right now? Yes, all things that you consume count as calories, and consuming things treating low blood sugar still have calories, and they're still going to add up at the end of the day. Your overall nutrition is the fundamental to your overall success when it comes to successful fat loss and achieving your goals. And so often I see, and I've done this myself, but it's like one little thing can just make it so much more seemingly like it seems like you can't lose weight, but it's like one little thing that you just need to adjust, whether it's like eating a little bit less of something or just being a little bit more mindful. So what should you focus on? Mindfulness is going to be huge. If you are mindful of calories that you're consuming every single day and just being mindful of different foods that you're eating, that's going to be super helpful. And then reading food labels will also help. Like if you go into the grocery store, maybe let's say you have toast for breakfast every morning, try to pick the option of bread that has fewer calories. Just becoming more aware with things that you're purchasing and things that you are consuming is going to be really, really helpful. Another really good thing, if you are a snacker especially, like who doesn't love snacks? But often I will even find if I'm not super busy throughout the day, I will just be hungry. I'm like, I'm hungry right now. So I'll just like mosey on over to the fridge. But sometimes it's like, am I really hungry? And so a really good rule of thumb is to use a hunger scale. And a super easy way to do this is ask yourself before you open the fridge or before you open a cupboard, am I hungry enough to eat an apple right now? If the answer is no, if the only thing that you can grab right now is an apple and you don't really want to eat that, you're probably not that hungry. And then tracking and weighing your food is also going to be super helpful. So using a food scale to weigh your foods and then using an app like MyFitnessPal can be super helpful just to track all the foods that you eat every single day. This will really help you maintain your calorie deficit for fat loss. Number 2, you're not being patient enough or putting in the consistent effort. Time and consistency is so key. And honestly, so many times I see people, and I've done this myself in the past, but so many times I will see people throw in the towel way too early. Because if you've ever started a diet or workout program, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but you kind of start it thinking like, all right, I'm going to do this for a month and I'm just going to see like what happens. But it's going to take longer than a month to get to where you want to be. And sometimes it can take the body up to 6 to 8 weeks to even get adjusted to what you're doing, which means you may not even notice any changes until after that 8-week mark. And so this is so important because so often you're doing the things, you're putting in the work. And if you had just kept going and had stayed a little bit more patient, you probably would have started seeing results. Another thing that I see so often, and I've done this myself so many times in the past, is like I'll be like, all right, I'm doing this. I've got a workout plan. I'm following this diet and I'm just in it, but I'm not in it super consistently. So I'll go and I'll get a gym membership, but instead of having a set routine, I'm going like maybe 3 or 4 times one week and then a couple times the next week. And then the week after I'll go like once and then maybe I'll skip a week. Like it just won't be super consistent or I won't be 100% compliant with what I'm eating because in my mind, I'll think that I should be farther along than I am. And it's really, really important that when you start something, not only are you putting in the time, like you're being really patient and consistent with what you're doing, but you're being 100% consistent and 100% compliant with your workouts, with your habits, and with your nutrition. And then you're being really, really patient. I know I already said that, but you have to be super patient in the process. If you can relate or if this sounds like you, then here's what I want you to do. I want you to give your plan at least 12 weeks and be as consistent and compliant as you possibly can during this time period. And that's not saying that every single day is going to be perfect because we're human, we're not perfect. There's probably going to be days where life happens and you kind of fall off the wagon. But the important thing is that you get back up the wagon, you keep pushing forward, and when you fall off the wagon one day, you get back up the next day. You don't let it get you down because that is ultimately how you're going to get to where you want to be. So bottom line is just don't give up, and definitely don't give up if you don't see results right away. Things worth having, things that you want to last, these things are going to take a lot of time. So it's important to be patient and kind to yourself in the process. And remember that this is just how it is for everyone. So you just have to put in that time and consistency in order to get to where you want to be. Moving on to number 3, you are not mentally ready. Fat loss is simple, but it's not easy. And this means that being in a calorie deficit, I'm in a deficit right now. It's hard. It's not fun. I'm hungry. But being in a deficit means that you're eating less food than your body requires to maintain its weight. So you're going to be hungry. And you're going to be hungry for the duration of your fat loss phase. But this is a phase. Your body's not meant to be in a calorie deficit forever. So you have to remember that this is just a phase and it's not forever. And it can be tough. And you are not always going to be mentally ready to be in a calorie deficit. And that's okay. Sometimes the best thing you can do is spend time developing your mind with your calories at maintenance. And maintenance calories are the amount of food that your body needs in order to maintain its current weight. So if you are feeling that you're at a position right now where you're like, I have way too much going on in my life, I'm not sticking to my diet, I'm not compliant, it's just not a good time for me to mentally do this. I really want to, but I keep falling off the wagon. Maybe that's a sign that you just take a little break, you eat at maintenance, because when you're eating at your maintenance calories, you know that you're not going to be gaining weight. So you're just going to be maintaining weight until you're ready to dive into that deficit. And then when you're ready, when you're in a great place mentally, you can attack your fat loss again and you will succeed. I hope this episode is helpful to you today. And one thing that I've been thinking about a lot lately is just the whole aspect around not giving up. Because whether it's building a better body, building a business, whatever it is, relationship, big changes in your life, like whatever you're working towards, it's so easy to compare where you want to be to other people. But it's important to remember that everyone started at zero. Everyone started with essentially nothing, like they started at a certain place and then 10 years, it takes a long time, like 10 years goes by. If you're trying to get fit, maybe it's going to be a good year before you get there, but it's important to remember and not compare where you want to be to someone else who's already put in that long span of effort and hard work. And just know this and know that it's possible for you too. You just can't give up, because it's those who don't give up and they keep pushing forward despite the obstacles. It's those people who will succeed in the end. So keep pushing forward, keep achieving those big goals that you have. I know that you've got this, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye for now.